Okay, it's finally here, and I have never been so excited for something that I knew would just be totally dreadful. And it definitely matched my expectations. Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey. So this went huge online quite a while ago, and in case you didn't know, basically Winnie-the-Pooh as a character has now entered the public domain to do with as anybody pleases. And this is what we have now. We have a very dark and very grim horror following Winnie-the-Pooh and his good friend Piglet. This movie opens up on like an artistic drawing just showing you the history of Winnie-the-Pooh and Christopher Robin. Basically, the story is kind of like, you know, at least at the start anyway, where Christopher Robin was friends with Winnie, they're chilling out in 100-acre woods, but then Christopher Robin just gets too old and he needs to leave home. He's going to go to uni, be a doctor, he needs to start adulting and move away from his animal friends. Winnie and the gang do not take this kindly. Like, the art is really nice, I thought, like it's very simplistic, but at the same time it's way better than anything I could do, so credit there. And it is in this artistic narration that we get the first glimmer of things grim and what is about to come. We are told that once Christopher Robin's left, he was helping them gather food, so Winnie and the gang had to look inward for food. Basically, Eeyore is not lasting long. Although if I'm going to eat any of them, Eeyore will be first to go because he has meat on that boy. We do see a few characters in this narration, but as the movie goes on, we really only come across Winnie and Piglet. I'm going to touch on just the plot very briefly because I know that's not why you're here. You're here to know if Winnie-the-Pooh is worth watching. And it's a complicated answer. We see Christopher Robin taking his new wife back and introduce her to Winnie and the gang. They are not as he remembers them. Things go a little bit sour. We then cut across to the main girl of the story, Maria. She has had an issue with a stalker in the past and we open up on her in therapy for this. So the plan is her and her friends are going to get away in the woods for a few nights, disconnect from social media and just have a lot of downtime, you know? She's doing better in therapy and she wants to enjoy her time. Cannot believe I'm talking about this. Like, I literally just watched it and it's just all fresh in my mind right now. It's wild up here. This movie, as much as Winnie-the-Pooh is the focus very clearly and what will draw you in, it is still a very standard sort of slasher movie. You know, you've got all the girls out at the house one night and kind of one by one they're getting taken out. Now, the acting in this film is not the best.
It can't be.
It's barely how I remember it.
This has to be some sort of mistake.
Oh. Pooh. What happened to you after all these years?
Like, I didn't expect big things from this or like any A-list acting here. Like, no one's walking away from this with an Oscar. But like, imagine this is your movie, like your breakout role, and going a step further, is the movie that you're going to show a little bit more than most. Yeah, that's a thing. Like, this movie, I don't know why. Like, it was so forced very clearly, but, you know, it happens. Very quickly we start getting teases though, so credit there for the movie. It doesn't use a lot of setup. We start getting glimpses of Winnie and or Piglet very early on in this movie, just setting up the scares to come. So you're not waiting around long for, let's be honest, the reason you're here. Now, the costumes I just could not get into for the whole movie. I was hoping that moment would come where you just kind of accept it, look past it, but it's difficult too because Winnie, he doesn't look fluffy. He doesn't look like a bear would. Don't get me wrong, the mask is terrifying. You know, you can't really see the eyes or mouth through it, so credit there. It looks like it must have been most of the budget. But I was expecting a fluffy bear. But what we have is this mask on just a humanoid body. But Eeyore looks more like Bebop from Ninja Turtles. And I couldn't unsee that once it clicked for me. So I do have issues with this movie, and I am going to have to moderate them because I do appreciate having issues with Winnie-the-Pooh. Blood and Honey is going to be expected. But they do say in that narration at the very start of the movie, when Winnie and the gang just start turning evil, that they give up their humanoid side and lean into the animal side. Totally fine, totally with that. But they're so humanoid. They wear shoes and clothes. Now, I'm not wanting to see Winnie's mini or anything like that in this movie, so thank God he's wearing something. But they're very human. Anyway, cut to the gang. It's very standard what you're going to see here with Maria and the friends. You've got 4 of them are all pretty much the same character, and then you've got the standard hot one. You know, she's out there, she's chilling in the hot tub taking photos, which are also not the photos she's taken. And let's be real, this isn't really a spoiler. Do spoilers really matter in a movie like this? But she's the first one to go. I mean, she's alone in the hot tub and she's the hot one. You're going to expect it. So this then turns up the heat for Maria and the friends to, one, find her body, and once they do, they are in motion. They're actually on the attack. A lot more than I thought they would be in this movie. You know, Maria, for example, so her friends go to the kitchen to get weapons and she just forgot that she had a gun.
I've got a gun! Let's go, I've got a gun upstairs. A gun? Yeah, I've got a gun upstairs.
And we need to talk about this for a minute, because this is set in Britain. We don't have legal guns here, and she has a fucking hand cannon somehow. Like, I don't know where she got that from, or how she forgot she had it. And what's even worse is when they go looking for it, she forgot where she put it.
Go on, get back to the house. Come on, come on. Where I put it?
How do you forget where you put this absolute cannon? And the movie then very much turns into just the group of girls out to get Winnie and Piglet. Again, I'm going to get through this. I can't believe I'm saying these things out loud. And obviously Winnie and Piglet coming back because they need to feed and also they hate humans, so they also torture them a bit. So let's cut to the things you want to know. This movie is fucking gory. Some of the kills in here I actually really did enjoy. I'm not ashamed to say I was impressed with a couple in here. They had the impact you would want them to have. You could feel it when it happened, put it that way. As for CGI, there's a little bit, and thank God it's used sparingly, because this blood we see early in the movie, yeah, it's like that for most of the movie whenever they use CGI. But this movie very clearly knows what it is and it stays in the pocket. It is a very cheesy slasher flick. They know you're hooking you in with the Winnie-the-Pooh angle, so they don't have to do anything else, really. There must have been a quick script thrown out here when it was going into the public domain to make it. It's not the best dialogue in the world. Like, you can make it through the movie, but don't expect big things. That being said, I didn't expect the ending. Now, I've watched a lot of movies, it's kind of the point of all this here on this channel, and I think that's why I didn't quite expect it here in particular. Because it is obviously very low budget, you kind of think you know what's going to happen just based on previous movies of a similar quality. Winnie-the-Pooh, you surprised me here. Well done. Winnie doesn't make much noise throughout the whole movie. They do make a point of saying that they gave up speaking a long time ago, but even noises, there's not many. Piglet, on the other hand, has a few, and they were creepy. I thought Piglet was creepier than Winnie in a lot of different regards, and these noises were fucking one of the reasons. I'm going to get a little bit critical here, more than this movie deserves, and it will touch on a few spoilers, so feel free to jump ahead if you don't want to see these. The movie has a very inconsistent approach towards the noise characters are making. Like, Winnie hears this from miles away. But then there's countless times of the girls very close to them making noise, scuffling, talking, and they don't bat a fucking eyelid.
Are you sure I shouldn't just shoot them? Alice is close and you might hear them.
So it's very inconsistent in what can you hear, because in one scene he's got fucking superhuman hearing. I don't know, do bears have particularly good hearing? Like, I know their smell's good, but Winnie can just hear fucking anything, apparently. Another thing is the girls come to save the day. They come and find one of their friends in a worse off position. And of course, the first thing they want to do is get her out of the trap.
Let's get me out of here.
Okay, we are.
Which fell apart very easily. It looks as though her friend wasn't trapped at all. Like, in a split second, they've just kind of touched her chains and touched her noose and she is free to run. Did she want to be there? And the girls don't get any better, because one of them, who was chained up and very much worse off than she was in the start of the movie, she is now on the attack because she sees herself and she wants revenge. Total credit there. So she takes the absolute hand cannon and goes hunting. There's only one round in this gun. And what's worse is, Maria, whose gun it is, blames her.
Gun's not working.
It's not her gun, Maria, it's your gun. You forgot about it twice. Once this commotion is down, they go on the run, and her friend needs a minute.
We don't have a minute! Come on! Fucking come on!
Like, you're running now. You're on the run for your life from monsters. Let's not mince our words here. Absolute monsters. And you need a minute? No. Maria thankfully just calls her out and they keep going. But seeing the scene where Piglet dies, I'd be lying to say to you that I didn't feel bad for him. Like, see, because he's making those noises and she is attacking him with like such impact, it did just feel like animal abuse. Don't get me wrong, I'm a meat eater through and through, but still, watching it here, something just felt wrong about it. I know he is a monster. I don't sympathise. Felt weird. Felt weird seeing that. You're not sure who to root for in that scene. Don't know if that's a me thing. So look, that was just some of the criticisms and like specific things I noticed here in Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey. It's definitely more than the movie deserved. But anyway, with all that out of the way, what would I be saying about this film? It's tough, because I know you're going to watch it. Let's be honest, it's Winnie-the-Pooh murdering people, you're going to watch it. If you have the time, put on Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey. However, I am going to put a small asterisk next to this. See, if you've not watched the movie yet and it's still on your list to watch, pick a weekend, get your friends around and have a few drinks for it. You will have a fantastic time at just the ridiculousness in this movie. Realistically, the movie is absolutely dreadful, but you could have fun with it, put it that way. The acting is horrific, but the gore and the slasher vibes, they're surprisingly not as bad as you would expect. There's a lot of faults and you could pick apart this movie all day long. I'm not going to here, but trust me when I say that you really need to suspend your disbelief more than most movies with this one. So look, with all that now out the way, have you seen Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey? If you have, let me know what you thought of it down below. We agree or disagree. And if you haven't yet, is this one that you plan on watching? And please, tell me why. If you enjoy what I do here, reviewing those movies that get a little bit less talked about, although this one I'm very conscious probably will get very talked about, let's be real, go ahead and make my day and hit subscribe. I love to see any and all engagement here on the channel. But as always, thank you so much for watching.